Hey guys, today we'll be discussing about cooling system and we'll be using this 2002 Focus as an example. For ease of understanding, I've decided to divide this topic into three parts. First and foremost, we'll talk about the basics of cooling system and why it's so important. Next, we will locate each and every part of the cooling system in this vehicle and describe their purpose. And lastly, we'll go through the wiring diagram of the cooling fans. So, let's get right through it. As soon as you start the engine, it's gonna build up heat. Too much of this heat will or may cause irreversible damage to the vehicle. Hence, we have the cooling system. The cooling system has a lot of purpose, but the main one is to prevent the engine from overheating. Now let's take a look at the coolant flow on this diagram. The red arrows represent hot coolant, and the blue arrows represent the warm or cold coolant. After the engine reaches a certain temperature, the hot coolant in it will exit through the thermostat, through the upper hose where it's gonna find its way to the radiator. The radiator is gonna cool down the hot coolant and cycles it back to the water pump through the lower hose. We also have an inlet and an outlet hose going to the heater core to heat up the cabin when needed. This is the water pump assembly. The visible part is the pulley, which is driven by the serpentine belt. It is responsible for forcing coolant throughout the cooling system. This is the thermostat housing and outlet. Inside it is the thermostat. The thermostat is normally closed, meaning it keeps the coolant within the engine to warm up faster until it reaches a predetermined temperature, at which point it will open and let the coolant to pass through. Unfortunately, we cannot take a good photo of the full radiator in this car. The one in the photo is just the core. So the radiator is divided into three main parts: a hot tank, a core, and a cold tank. Once the thermostat opens, coolant is gonna rush in the upper hose and flood the hot tank with hot coolant. Then the coolant is gonna go through the core where it cools down. The core is designed to let air to pass through it and absorb the heat away. After the process, we end up with warm coolant ready to cycle again to the lower hose back to the water pump. This is the lower hose that connects the radiator to the water pump. These two hoses connect to the heater core inside the vehicle. The upper hose delivers hot coolant to the heater core. The heater core has the same working principle as the radiator, and it works with a blower motor to cool down the coolant. The cooled coolant then exits the bottom hose. The coolant temperature is tucked away under the alternator. This is what it looks like out of the vehicle. In this case, we have a CHT, which stands for Cylinder Head Temperature Sensor. This type is an anti-C thermistor, meaning when the coolant temperature rises, the resistance of the sensor decreases and lets voltage to pass through, which the PCM monitors. Based on predetermined values, the PCM can turn on or off the cooling fans. Speaking of cooling fans, the cooling fan relay is located in this junction box. One of the problems that can cause a coolant system to fail is coolant leakage. Coolant can leak through cracks of the connections with enough corrosion, or coolant can also leak through broken parts, such as broken radiator, cracked thermostat housing, or blown hoses. The cooling system will also fail if the thermostat is not working properly. For example, if the thermostat is stuck closed, it's not gonna circulate the coolant and will lead to overheating. And if the thermostat is stuck halfway, you get half the benefit of the cooling system, meaning if you put more load on the vehicle, it's gonna lead to overheating again. And if the thermostat is stuck open, it's gonna take longer for the coolant to warm up, meaning you're gonna consume more fuel and you're gonna produce more blow-by, which is bad for the engine. And on some vehicles, like certain Volkswagen models, they are known for water pump failures because the impeller in the water pump is made out of plastic, and the plastic gets exposed to high temperature which is bound to fail and break. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching this video.